DayZ's new loot change is huge, and here I'm going to give you 10 things that you can do to completely take advantage of the new loot system. Because if there's one thing us British people know how to do, it's take other people's stuff. If you like the video, please leave a like or a subscribe, it really helps me out. But without further ado, let's get into the video. I don't know what you want. I am not doing that. Starting off, and one of the best tips I can give you is to prioritize magazines over weapons. The biggest change this update is that magazines are now rarer than guns themselves. If you find a magazine for an AK, DMR, or anything else, you need to keep it. Even if you don't have that rifle yet, you can always find the weapon later, but without the magazine, it's pretty useless in a gunfight. Next, build a weapon platform. What I mean by this is don't hunt for one specific rifle. If you've already found NATO ammo, NATO mags, but Eastern optics and buttstocks, commit to a NATO loadout. Build around what the game gives you instead of hoping one gun eventually appears. Next, fully loot military bases. One barracks isn't enough anymore. Weapons, magazines and attachments now compete for the same spawn point, so clear every building. The player who searches the whole base will leave with far more complete kits. This is way more important now. Next up, you need to stop constantly upgrading. If you've already built an AK, don't ditch it because you found something slightly better. Every weapon swap now means finding new magazines and attachments all over again. It means that the gun you have is way rarer than it was in the last update. Next up, make dynamic events a part of your route. Heli crashes and convoys aren't just bonus loot anymore, they're now some of the best places for high-end rifles, plate carriers, SVDs and scars. And I know people tend to use loot routes that take a few potential spawn sites of helis and convoys, but now they are absolutely necessary. They should become part of your main loot run. Next, prioritize keeping and getting weapon repair kits. Now that guns are harder to get, they're also harder to replace, so just keep this in mind. If you find one, they are now more valuable than ever. Next up, prioritize killing more infected. Heavy infected don't guarantee armor, but they're still one of the best ways to find protective gear. Since armor is rarer overall, killing infected is now much more rewarding than players realize. Next, and this is one that I think a lot of people will ignore, but it's definitely good to know, you need to delay PvP until your kit is finished. This isn't always possible, obviously. However, finding a rifle isn't the finishing line anymore. Before heading into hotspots, either be very careful or make sure you've got enough magazines, ammunition, optics and armor to last. Next, plan your route around loot, not distance. Random looting is less effective after this update. Decide what loadout you're building, then route through the locations that spawn the magazines, attachments and weapons you actually need. Players with a plan will gear up much faster than players relying on luck. It's no longer a case of, I know good guns spawn here, I'm just gonna go here and see what good gun I can find. Now it's more specific, there's way more strategy behind it. Next, if PvP is your goal, you need to make it to a tier 3 or tier 4 area as soon as possible. Tier 1 and 2 don't offer you anything you're gonna be able to protect yourself with successfully anymore. You're no longer gonna just stumble into the perfect loadout. But the best tip I can give you, and the one I absolutely recommend, is you watch this video here, which will give you 35 PvP tips that you definitely need as a solo player, or for something else, click here. And as always, until next time.